they've got the iPads on the bench. You have Darby Hendrickson and Bob Mason upstairs in Paul Fenton's booth communicating on the bench. You have Jonas Plum in the back with also Andrew Height, who's their team services guy who looks for stuff like offsides, and they are able to communicate to the bench as well.
Derek Johnson said, great read on Suter, and then he rips on Scott Walker, so I think we've already gone through that. From Russo Slacks, do the Wild have anything special planned for the second 2018 home opener?
Yeah, big ceremony tonight.
From Nikolai, Foligno looks seemingly better this year. Is this due to his elevated role in the team, or has he changed the way he plays?
No, I think that he's just more comfortable. I mean, when he was gotten here, I think Bruce needed to learn him. He needed to learn Bruce. I mean, obviously both Ennis and Foligno struggled at the beginning of last year. It probably didn't help the third game of the season. He broke his cheekbone. And so, even when he took the cage off, he just couldn't fight. So it probably changed the way that he played the game because he essentially, I think, knew that he couldn't drop the gloves for a long time, and so that changed the game. But he's really kind of started the way that he finished. He finished that last month of the season in the playoffs. He actually was a really good hockey player for the Wild. I think that he likes the elevated role of getting back to penalty killing. That's something that he did in Buffalo. He's gotten better at it so far. Bruce is doing this. A lot of people have asked me why. Bruce is doing this because he wants to play his veteran power play guys less time on the PK. To try to make them more fresher, speak English, fresher 5-on-5. So he essentially wants to give guys that don't have a big role, the Hendrickses, the Browns, the Folignos, some special teams time, Eriksson Ek, and then all of a sudden, that should, if you're not all of a sudden throwing guys that are power play guys on the PK, or a lot of them, then hopefully the benefit is that they're better even strength.
From Eric, last night NBCSN had the Jets-Leafs game. Can we expect NBC to start showcasing the young American stars even though they play in Canada, or is this a one-off?
The schedule's out, so that could have been just a one-off. I don't think it was anything previously planned. The NBC schedule is pretty much locked and loaded the rest of the way. It's amazing. Dallas is on it once all year, and the Wild are on like 9 times. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think
I
they're
don't know. Dallas sucks. I don't know. They do suck.
Why do they stink?
I don't know. I mean, they're like a one-line team. I mean, they were so bad against the Wild the other night. Although I did notice that the Spezza line with Como finally scored against LA the other night. They scored the first 2 goals, but man, they were just so unimpressive the other night.
I'm going to be bringing my iPad, which has a cracked screen, out to Fixology Repair, 3rd floor of the Mall of America. Fixologyrepair.com. Check them out. Downtown Minneapolis in the Skyway, Mall of America, 3rd floor. Our friend John Hedges comes out to all the shows. We've gotten to know him very well. Highly recommend his place for watches, repairs, purchases, device repair. Check out Fixologyrepair.com. You'll see all the things they can do for you.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at Fixologyrepair.com or at FixologyMN on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
How'd you break your iPad?
I think I dropped it. And it's got a protective covering, but I think I dropped it badly enough that the protective covering really didn't help it out very much.
Well, luckily,
I'm a klutz.
Yeah, John will fix that easily.
Yeah, and you bought... What did you get there?
Well, he's fixed my watches.
Yes.
He definitely fixed this one that I'm wearing. It was like 5 minutes too slow every other day, or 5 minutes too fast. I can't remember. And then, but the other thing is, this when I left the strip, I sprinted over there to have him move all my contacts and all my important files, because as you know, I can't even get the scanner to work at Target.
From Nikolai, when the Wild inevitably make their big trade, it would ideally be for a young player with upside or a guy in his prime. Do you think this person would be or needs to be a goal scorer first and two-way forward comes secondary?
I hope so. Yeah.
From AJ, from what I have seen, most NHL players drive beautiful luxury cars. Are there any players in the Wild that drive just a regular everyday car or maybe a beater I can picture Suter in an old beat-up pickup truck.
Well, a lot of them have trucks and things like that. I think Matt Hendricks has the fishing stuff and bumper stickers and all sorts of the flat type of thing where you can put a grill back there and things like that. But they all drive big SUV type things. Maybe it's just being here in Minnesota, especially the Minnesotans, because I think they're just kind of used to it's Minnesota. You need cars to drive around in the winter, but they love going up to the lake and things like that. So,
yeah, the NBA, pretty much everybody drives a fancy car. I remember when Latrell Sprewell was here, he drove a Maybach, which is like the ultra luxury arm of Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
So it's way nicer than Mercedes-Benz, if you can imagine that. And it had a champagne cooler in the armrest.
I will say I don't know exactly like what everybody drives on the Wild, because they park in a different area than we do at the arena. And now that they're now that we don't go to Ritter or Braemar anymore for practice, now they park underneath at Tria. So same thing. I just don't see their cars.
I think baseball and football have a pretty wide range. I think you have the ultra, pimped out luxury vehicles with special rims, and then you also see just beat up pickup trucks in the same.
Yeah, I remember when I backed out and I hit Nick Schultz's Porsche.
I still love that story.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Of course, it probably helps it be a good story that Nick Schultz is like so nice and he didn't.
No,
want to
it
beat you up or
definitely.
anything.
Yeah, it was. If it was anybody else on that team. It was like right after they got blown out on the father-son trip too, so everybody was pissed. Man, I remember we were in like Toronto in a locker room, and guys like Daryl Powell and Brad Stalvitz were like looking at me.
People
like,
I'd forgotten about.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you're Daryl Powell.
That is one thing. If people who understand actually how our job works, sometimes they actually worry about us going into locker rooms where people are going to be angry with us. Reality is, we're going to outlast most of these people.
Yeah, usually. I used to always think that I was going to, kind of, now I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well, because back then I was young.
Yeah, well,
I knew, it's funny, I remember Mike Keenan, I'm like, same thing. I'm like, dude, I'm going to outlast you here. And then he came back as the GM. I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go to Minnesota.
From Davis Bailey, now that the Wild are on a roll, what do you see as the team's identity going forward if they continue to be successful?
Well, it's got to be a hardworking team that plays in the offensive zone, because they're not going to outskate most teams on most nights. So, it's got to be tight defensively and hard forechecks. And, they need Coyle and Niederreiter to play like they played the other night, or at least Coyle. I mean, Niederreiter to me still has a long way to go to improve. This week was kind of devoted to him, which I'm sure he loved. At least at The Athletic, theathletic.com/Russo. And, so it's, but yeah, I mean, that's got to be what this is. I mean, they have to use, they're a team that should play in the offensive zone. If they do, they could score goals. They've shown it. I mean, 2 years ago, they were as balanced a team as there was offensively in the league, and they had more 4 and 5 goal wins, like scored 4 or 5 goals than I think any team in the league that year. And, you look at this past week, the winning streak. I mean, obviously Arizona is a bit of a difference, but, look at the Chicago game, the Carolina game, Dallas, they potted some goals, and then obviously the other night against Tampa Bay. I mean, this team has the ability to score, but you got to stay out of your own end. And I don't know. Identity questions change by the week, it seems.
Yeah. You know what you and I have in common?
What?
Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent,
yes.
Champlin, Hoaglund.
God, you teed me up for that. I didn't even know. Damn it.
And the good thing about Tony is he can.
I just thought a funny story I'll tell after you do this. Tony
works out of Champlin, but he's easy to work with wherever you live. We live in Minneapolis, and we have Tony as our agent. You can reach him via, you can deal with him via the app, his website. He answers the phone. He's very personal, but he's a friend of ours. We highly recommend Tony.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
All right, tell me your story.
Just the new buyer of my condo has State Farm as well, so I get a thing in the mail, and obviously I'm moving, he's moving in, so we're both changing our our insurance. I had to get rid of my homeowners, but add renters for 5 months, and stuff like that. And so I get these 2 big kind of envelopes from State Farm the other day, and I open it up, and I'm starting to look at the numbers. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And then I see that it's made out that it was just I opened up the mail of the new buyer. So then
you can be arrested for that, I think.
Yeah, so I left it out for him, and then with the other, and he even at closing yesterday, he goes, "Looks like you opened my mail, but then realized it was the wrong one, so then you didn't open up the other." I'm like, actually, that's exactly what happened. It's like all of a sudden, then it made me look on the front. So, yeah, so we both have State Farm. I didn't see if he has Tony Hoagland though.
Well, he should. He should switch. He should get him to switch. From Thomas Scott, what does Michael think about people responding to a suitor story with complaints about his politics? I think the point is that you were not, it wasn't about politics for you. It was a neighbor who is prominent, and you wanted to quote him about suitor. It wasn't a political statement. From Dave Spanhouse, would it help Michael's demeanor if he defected to, this is the best question of all time, would it help Michael's demeanor if he defected to Seattle and writes about the impending expansion draft from the perspective of Seattle? Think about all the coffee to drink in Seattle.
Oh my God, it'd be incredible. But, could you imagine if Chuck Fletcher became the GM there, and I'm like, surprise! I'm back.
He just quit.
Yeah,
he'd have an
I'll tell you who would love that. Brent Flair. He'd love to see me covering him again there.
How are you and Brent doing these days?
Who? Doesn't speak to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's short-sighted. I think that's silly. From Sean Erlison, 48. It looks like. Nope, that was about a different topic. WH Bonnie, 14. Nino was bad last season. Injuries were blamed. He was great at the World Championships, then bad again this year. Perhaps his interest is lost unless he's playing for his country, question mark?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Nino, there's nothing about
nothing wrong with
Nino
him as a guy, right?
I get why people ask that question when they see stuff like that, but I feel like I know the real Nino writer, and this is freaking killing him. This has absolutely nothing to do with putting on Swiss colors versus the Wild. I don't think.
From Carson, we keep hearing about how old the Wild is. I don't know which it is. But if we switched out...
Depends your publication.
Exactly. If we switched out 2 fourth-liners for youth, how much would that change the average age? Seems like getting younger would be the easiest of all.
Well, it's not about old. Like I wrote the other day, or I said the other day on the podcast, they're not slow because they're old. They're slow because they're playing slow. I mean, they've just, they've added a couple slower guys. It doesn't matter that the slower guys are, 37 or 24. And then they just weren't playing fast. But lately they look fast. I mean, when they're playing well, they look like a fast team. They look like a really fast team in the third period against Dallas and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is pretty freaking fast. So it's a matter of how you're playing. And the other thing I'll say is my whole opinion, as everybody knows, wavers from week to week because this team is so erratic and it could very well change in 5 hours. But this team started this way last year. It takes sometimes older, bigger players to get going a little more.
One point.
Now they've got to get guys. There are some passengers on this team that have to play better. Nino, I think Stahl needs to be better. There are some guys that need to be better. The good news is that, there are guys playing really well. Suter's playing for the most part well. Parisi looks awesome. Granny's playing great right now after a really slow start to the season. I mean, Mary was worried.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
One point I've made when I've asked, on radio shows around the state is I said, sometimes speed isn't just speed. Sometimes it's crispness. If you put the puck on somebody's tape right on time, then they're going to look a lot faster than if you're making them reach.
Yep, exactly. Or, fumbling pucks and things like that. You're absolutely right, especially in hockey.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do 2 more Twitter questions. A reminder, next live show is 6 p.m. November 1st at Delano's, downtown Minneapolis. It's a great location. It's by Target Center, by a bunch of music venues. Easy place to get to, tons of parking. Thanks to Twill in the Dining Galleria, twillmn.com, whizkids.tech. Check out their billboard on Washington Avenue, fixologyrepair.com, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent in Champlin. And reminder, Bite Squad, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this weekend. Vikings 2018, you get $10 off your order. It's a great deal, and they deliver a lot of great local restaurants. I use it all the time. Michael uses it all the time. And give us the Athletic promo code one last time.
theathletic.com/IKnowRusso. You can go back, even if you subscribe today, and read through the archives. That pattern piece last week was awesome. Chad Graff has written a couple